So those of you that are feminines on the twin flame journey, you might have noticed this pattern within you and within your connection. And if you haven't noticed this pattern yet, that it's okay because we're going to dive into this today and shine some light on some areas of the journey to help you understand where it is that you're operating from and how to begin to take control of your role in the connection. Because many of you had noticed at first in your connection, your twin flame was pursuing you. It was like no matter what it is that you did, he or she, meaning the masculine, was always there. And just for reference in this video, I'm going to refer to the masculine energy the as he. Whether he's a he or a she, it's just easier to say he or the masculine and just fit it into your unique dynamic. And so the masculine was pursuing you. There was connection, there was a lot of communication, energy was flowing between the two of you. And when you think back to it, something within you and something within the connection and your masculine shifted. And here is why is because there was a part of you that unconsciously closed down. You closed your heart, you closed your body, and you begin to feel him pull away. And once he started to pull away, you started chasing. And these patterns that have been within you for your whole entire life and in every relationship began to surface. And I feel like no matter what you did at that point in time, there's no way that things could go back to where they used to be. Because one of the things that I learned on this journey is your twin flame will trigger you in every way that you've been living out of alignment. And it will highlight areas about yourself that you were unwilling to see. And let's face it, sometimes we're unable to see those parts because they're buried below a lot of other stuff. But not only that, this dynamic is going to show you where you are living out of alignment to your true essence in regards to love. What if I told you that this happening in you and in your dynamic wasn't random? And that everything that's happening within your connection and in you is divinely orchestrated for you. For you as the feminine to rise into her power. And what I mean by that is that you are embodying your sacred feminine energy. You are embodying your personal power and becoming the creator of your reality while living with your heart and your body fully open. In one of my most recent videos in Rise, I was actually starting to introduce those like the lack of better words, let's just say levels of feminine consciousness and masculine consciousness and how we shift between these energies. And for the feminines in that space to start looking at where is it that they embody these energies and how do they play out within your connection? Because if you haven't begun to dive into your understanding where you are in your inner feminine, how she operates, and understanding your masculine energy and how he operates, I would highly encourage you to do so. Because by doing so, you're going to reveal wounds that you didn't know existed, whether it's a mother wound, a father wound, where your inner feminine is still attracted and attached to the distorted masculine, and where you could be in your feminine energy, potentially playing small out of loyalty to the other women in your lineage. And you then begin to be able to peel back these layers to be able to come into the state of inner union. And that's where the separation ends within you, but also too within your connection. And it starts to help you begin to embody unity consciousness between you and the creator. And one of the things I want you to keep in mind as I talk about these different levels or versions of the feminine, that moving through these isn't going to be linear. Oftentimes you may move from one to the next really easily and effortlessly. And then another area of your life, you might be in between two things, where there could be times where you're embodying the wounded and other times you're embodying the feminine or the feminine, yeah. And oftentimes, I think one of the misconceptions that a lot of feminines think is once you're healed, you're going to be bam in your feminine energy. But it doesn't happen that way. It's a titration process. Little by little, you start embodying that version of you because you begin to cultivate the safety and security and groundedness within your body to actually hold and embody that energy. Because literally, it's a consciousness. And it's this part of you that begins to shift and rise. And this is when everything begins to shift in your life and within your connection. And I first want to start by talking about the wounded feminine, because many feminines find themselves in their wounded feminine when they get connected with their divine masculine. And there's reasons for that. But up until that point, she might have been masking this wounded part of her by being in her distorted masculine through her actions and her beliefs. And the wounded feminine, I want you to know that her heart is fully open, right? Like she's open to receiving love. She believes in love. She knows that love exists out there, but she's extremely powerless. She loves and gives easily and freely. And oftentimes she finds herself overgiving in her life, overgiving to the masculine. And this is where in your connection, that there's connection between you and your masculine. There's chemistry that you've never experienced before. And oftentimes there can be more presence of your masculine in your life. But underneath all of that, she's waiting to be chosen. She's waiting for her masculine to choose her. She's attached to outcomes. She's attached to him. There's a lot of codependent patterns that she has picked up throughout her life. And those are playing out within her and her connection. She has this energy of, he completes me. And he can be like any other relationship too, that, you know, you've always believed that being with somebody, you are complete and you're a whole. And the wounded feminine oftentimes is waiting for her knight in shining armor. And I know this energy all too well because this was the primary energy that I was embodying, the frequency in which my body was embodying. My actions a lot of times are coming from the distorted masculine. And because of this, this is where the masculine can show up because the feminine's heart is open. There's space for the masculine to enter into the feminine. But here's the thing that most don't realize is this dynamic and where it's at is not sustainable because a feminine is looking outside of her for everyone to meet her needs, to become her happiness, to become everything that she needs to have the life that she wants to live. And through the healing work that the feminine does, she begins to see all the ways that she's been wounded and where these play out in her life. And she starts to do the inner work. And she might just go into her sacred feminine energy in some areas of her life. In other ways, she might step into more of a distorted feminine. And this is where she is closed off, but she is in control. She's in control of her life. She becomes more independent, which this independence usually comes from this lack of trust. She's unable to let go and trust because she's afraid to rely on, get this, the support of a masculine because of her wounding. Perhaps she's had a father who provided for her family, like the family when she was younger, and he ended up leaving. Perhaps she was in other dynamics in her life where the masculine was a provider and ended up leaving. And so that support that she had no longer existed. And in this stage, in this embodiment frequency, she's focused on herself. She's focused on her life. She's focused on her goals. And this is where she starts to begin to choose herself. And she starts to see, like, through her wounded feminine, where she was overgiving, where she was settling for breadcrumbs, and where she wasn't being the creator of her reality. She was wanting somebody else to do that for her. But here's the thing with the distorted feminine, her heart is closed. Her body is tense and it's guarded. A lot of times she's overstressed, overworked, and she's on the edge of burnout, or even worse, she's already burnt herself out. And she's energetically pushing love and her masculine away. Or let's face it, any masculine that would want to come into her reality, she's pushing them away. And this version of you, this version of the feminine, she's here to show you how powerful you can be. But this power is actually coming from this place of protection. And it's not an open sense of power. And this is the part of the journey where the feminine often thinks, I've arrived. I stepped into my power and I'm detaching. And I know some of you might not be ready to hear this truth, but it's important to understand, because when I realized that this is where I was, this helped catapult my journey. And this is where oftentimes I see a lot of feminines get stuck, because they're like, why is my twin flame not coming towards me? Why is my twin flame not choosing me? Why is my twin flame not doing this? And oftentimes they project their inability to take responsibility for their role, they project it onto the feminine. Because the truth is, in this consciousness, your heart isn't open. Her heart is not open, and she has completely removed herself from the connection, which is often why she can't feel her twin. And oftentimes she'll say, I can't feel him because he shut off. But he's going to be a reflection to her and show her all the ways that she's shut off and unable to receive the actual thing that she desires. So let's talk about why the masculine pulls away. When she's in her wounded feminine energy, she's open. He comes forward because there's space for him to enter into her energetic field. And oftentimes the feminine forgets that this, I don't know, she forgets. She just may not be aware that this dynamic is very much an energetic connection. It goes beyond all the things that we have learned in regards to relationships. And so when she enters into her distorted energy, her energy field becomes closed because her heart is closed, which means the masculine pulls back because there is no space for her to enter. Each of these scenarios and dynamics play and serve a purpose in your journey, because not only that is teaching you how to receive, how to feel safe and feeling open, because your masculine not coming forward is not a punishment. It's not a rejection. This is all supporting you into shifting your consciousness and the frequency in which you are embodying. Because your masculine, your twin flame, is responding to your energy. He is not abandoning you. And this dynamic between you and your masculine, him pulling away, is guiding you to balance things within you, balancing your inner feminine and masculine, balancing out the inner push and pull that is occurring within you. All of that is what helps you step into your power and open up to receive. Because I was reading this book, and actually it's a really incredible book. It's called Dear Lover. If I can find it in my Amazon store or on TikTok, I'll link it in the description box. And he talks about how, I had to write it down, so I want to read it, how he talked about it. He said, you can only attract your reciprocal, meaning your twin flame will match the depth in which you love. in your ability to open and your ability to receive. And the way that he had written it in that book, it was like, wow, it was like a light bulb went off. And looking back at my own personal journey, I could see how all of that was true. But also, too, he talks about how the feminine's heart is what pulls the masculine towards her when her heart is open. And ultimately, I've known my whole entire journey that we are ultimately in control of what happens in our dynamic. Yes, there is free will, and the masculine can experience other things in his life because he has made those decisions. But when your heart is fully open, there is nothing that the masculine can resist from entering into that space. And he will do, he says in this book, whatever he needs to do in order to be able to enter into that space. But the caveat is a feminine needs to be able to receive. She needs to be able to feel safe in that. And so he's going to reflect back to you. Where is it that you're not open? Where is it that you're having difficulty receiving? And where are you afraid to own your depth? So let's talk about the sacred feminine. You can call her the divine feminine. You can call her the healed feminine. This is an embodiment of open and safe to receive. And she's fully embodied. And what I mean by that is her heart is open. She's grounded in her body. She feels safe holding and receiving love. You can even equate that to holding and receiving abundance. She's not waiting and she's not chasing because she doesn't just desire love. She has a capacity to receive it and to hold it without collapsing or running. So in order to become her, let's talk about how to become her. You have to become magnetic, which means you're open and feeling safe and grounded. You're not grasping for things. And in your body, she's soft. Her energy field is soft. But she's not powerless or she's not weak, because oftentimes we associate soft with being weak. And the sacred feminine, she is anything but weak. And she's anything but powerless. And in order to become her, you have to be open and not attached and not just detached, meaning removing yourself from the situation. And because she's open, things can come her way because she's opening to receive it. But it doesn't mean that everyone gains access to her. It doesn't mean that she is just receiving whatever comes her way. She uses discernment. She trusts her inner knowing, and she has boundaries. These are some important things to remember because so many of us have been without boundaries our whole life. We accepted whatever came our way, the little breadcrumbs, when you really wanted to have the whole cake. You know, you allowed whatever masculine energy to come into your reality, into your life, and do what he did within the connection because you felt powerless. You felt like you had to abandon yourself for love or enter in your own story, because it's time for the sacred feminine to rise within you. And when you are in sacred detachment and you trust, these are two essential things that the feminine embodies. Because she's sacredly detached and she trusts, she's deeply connected. She's deeply connected to herself. She's deeply connected to her life. She's allowing life to flow through her, and she doesn't cling to outcomes. She doesn't lose herself in the things that she desires. She surrenders expectations. She surrenders expectations of how things are going to come into her life. She surrenders expectations of her masculine. And here's why. Because she trusts. She's built a deep level of trust in herself, a trust that has taken time to cultivate within herself. She's been able to develop trust within the journey and trusting that everything that is happening is supporting her to rise into the feminine, but also to be able to land and cultivate the life that she desires in the 3D. And one of the more important things is she trusts God. She trusts God in knowing that God is always going to be there to support her and to provide for her, to lead her if she's unable to lead herself. But the sacred feminine, she has that. But she also learns that she can fully trust her masculine. And oftentimes she's pulled to trust him more than herself. Because the sacred feminine in the connection, she's no longer trying to control outcomes. She's no longer trying to predict how things are going to happen. She's no longer seeking anything outside of herself. And she trusts that whatever is happening in her reality is meant for her and is meeting her at the frequency in which she embodies. And the frequency in which she embodies and the feedback that she's getting from her twin flame, from God, from the universe, and others around her are supporting her growth. And she's taking responsibility in using that feedback to be able to allow her to rise even more. And she's literally rewritten every single code that her body has. She's embodying different frequencies. She's learned this deep level of trust and knowing that her heart is showing her exactly what she desires, exactly what she wants in life, and yearning for this deep love and to help her navigate through a conscious relationship, something that she has never navigated before in life. And for many of us, that's the next level of expansion. Because our twin flame journey, as I talked about many times, is just a small portion of your human experience. And I know at the beginning, it's like your whole entire life. I've been there. And I deeply realized many years ago that it's a small part of my human experience. And it's how my soul and your soul decided it wanted to experience your spiritual awakening. And it's here to help you awaken. And then through serving in your purpose, that's a whole nother level of expansion. Going into union, whether that's with your beloved or with another soul, that's another level of expansion. And we're constantly being called to rise up and expand even more. Because this journey isn't just about love. It's about shifting your entire consciousness, learning to feel safe in your body, learning to receive without fear, returning to a frequency that you have only known as a child, that feminine frequency that we embody as a child. And through your experience of life, you've learned how to cultivate a healthy masculine energy within you that supports the rise of the feminine within you. And if you're recognizing that perhaps yourself is in your wounded or even distorted, or maybe you bounce back between the two, I want you to know that you're not doing anything wrong. It is essential to move through these, but you're being called now, if this video is resonating with you to go deeper, because this is the work to become the woman who can hold the love that she desires. And to hold that love and to receive that love without losing herself inside of it. Because many of us have constantly been losing ourselves inside of love. And we're not meant to do that. And so if you have been watching this and it's been speaking to you and pulling on you, then I want you to stay close to my channel and stay close to what it is that I offer. Because in in Rise, my monthly membership for feminines. It's helping support you rise in the feminine you are meant to be in this lifetime, along with helping you heal some wounds, step into inner union, and all the things necessary to feel grounded and safe in your own body. And until April 15th, I am offering a discount to save $11 off your first 3 months. And if you received something from this video, then I would be so honored for you to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and even subscribe so you never miss out on a video. And I just want to send you all so much love and light. And I'm truly honored to be walking this path with you and to share with you all the wisdom that I've learned on my own experience so you can take what resonates with you and apply it to your journey so it catapults you farther forward than you ever would have without it. Because some of you are here to no longer learn from making quote unquote mistakes in your life, but starting to learn by taking what resonates with you because it's a remembrance of your truth. And that's what I'm here to do. And so I'm sending you so much love and light, and I'll see you in the next video.